universal wisdom, shine your love on us. Beautiful souls, unity in love, spirit and angels watching over us.
Good morning. I'm Christine. This is Mystic Mindfulness. Thank you for joining me today. I appreciate you being here with me. I wanted to discuss the grieving process, and I also wanted to share more of my story and how I went through my own grieving process and what helped me, and maybe it will help you as well. I want to make sure that I am very clear that I am not a therapist. Seek therapy if you need it. Search things on Google, search things on YouTube, journal, but definitely get help. And I assume that's why you're here as well, is to find comfort maybe in my own story. That's what I've found as well when I've been watching other YouTube channels and they talk about leaving religion and the process that they went through. I find that it's very healing for me as well, just finding comfort in someone else's story. So that's why we're here today, and I'd like to share more of my story with you. As I've mentioned before, losing my son was obviously very, very, very painful. He was 4 months old. He was born premature. He was in the NICU, and I went and visited him every day. I held him as much as they would allow me to hold him, and he lived for 4 months in the NICU. It was a long journey. Those 4 months was such a long journey, and the process of me even being able to have my son, and I'll say that I wanted 6 kids before the age of 30, and he died 1 month before I turned 30, and he was my first child, and I wasn't even sure if I could have any more children because I wasn't able to get pregnant for a very long time. So there was that grieving upon grieving, and also at that same time, a lot of my friends and relatives were all getting pregnant and having children right around his death. So I'd be invited a lot to baby showers and baptisms. I want to say confirmations, but when you pray over babies in the church. So there was a lot of pain and hurt surrounding that as well. And it was just a grieving process upon a grieving process. And I give you that information so you can understand the depth of my pain when I say that losing my religion was more painful to me than losing my son. And nobody ever would choose to lose their religion. It's also a very, very, very painful process. And I feel that when you come out of the religious closet, so to speak, a lot of people are unaware of the grieving process that you're going through. And I've tried to keep it hidden from my family and friends until a most recent incident where I thought I was having an open conversation with somebody who was truly curious, and come to find out their ultimate agenda was to try to prove that I had incorrect thinking and to convert me back to the religion that I have stepped out of. And so that was painful for me as well, because I felt that the whole heart of the conversation, which is us, conversations are relational, and that was removed completely, and my feelings were then hurt again. But it wasn't just feelings, it was my feelings weren't hurt. It was the grieving process was then brought up again, and so I had to deal with it again. And I guess in some ways too, my feelings were hurt because the person was completely unaware of my heart and the pain that I suffered in leaving the religion. So there was no empathy at all in that, and we can't expect people to have empathy for us if that's not who they are as people. We can't expect anything out of anybody. It's our responsibility to let people know when they've crossed boundaries, when they've hurt us, to lovingly let them know. And sometimes that may even have to go as far as saying, I am no longer able to have a relationship with you. So some boundaries actually entail some pretty strong consequences, and that hurts too. It's not like we choose that either, but we have to protect ourselves in the process. And so I wanted to discuss some more about that as well. I have a notebook this time and my diary too is here, but I just don't want to lose my train of thought while I'm going through this. So the grieving process, for me, I was a huge people pleaser my whole entire life, and I grew up in a home where we were codependent, and we were often told we had to look good. So the inner beings of your deepest soul had to be hidden. Your emotions, your thoughts, your feelings, your opinions weren't necessarily counted at all for the sake of looking good. So we needed to make sure that, we held the family, the appearance of the family was more important than the heart of, any pain that you might be suffering, as well as conflicts in the family. My whole purpose, in a codependent family, there's lots of roles that people play. And I really encourage you to look that up too if you're dealing with this. And I wouldn't be surprised if you are dealing with it, because in religious homes, a lot of times the appearance of the family or even the church is more important than your thoughts, your feelings, your opinions, and things that you've found to be incorrect. So you keep your mouth shut, you do what you're told, you make everything look good. And as well, I believe that this is probably more so also, and I could be wrong, maybe it's with everybody in the church, men included, but for women, I would say, especially within religious communities, they should, from their opinion, not speak. So it's a twofold hit on that one. I just want to make sure I haven't missed anything here. But for me, I went from being the people pleaser in order to keep the peace and keep harmony because I didn't like conflict, to also being the black sheep. So I would say too much. According to certain members of the family, I would talk too much about problems in our family. So I was not only a huge people pleaser, I could also be very passive aggressive, and I could also talk a lot about things that people didn't want me discussing, and it was usually with my close friends. So please, if you're dealing with any of that, look up codependent families, and also people pleasing. Yeah, if you're dealing with any of those issues. So coming out of the religious closet for me, for one, losing my religion, and I felt like I had lost God, was a huge grieving process. But then being kind of manipulated out of my religious closet was huge for me. First of all, I didn't want to be known that I didn't want any of that to be known because I didn't like conflict. I still don't like conflict. One of the things that I have learned through this process, though, is that it's very necessary to speak up. And I did seek counsel, like I said I had in my last video. I'm so thankful for people that you can count on and rely on to give you an honest truth. And if you have that, seek that out as well. If not, seek therapy, because it's important. When I was in this debate and I had finally come out and said, this is how I'm feeling by this. This is very hurtful to me. And I was very direct with it. There was the after effects that I had felt with guilt and shame, like I had done something wrong in sticking up for myself. And I would not be at all surprised if, when you've come out of the religious closet with your family and friends, if you've encountered strong opposition and you've had to speak up for yourself too, or even cut off relationships in the process. And it's not easy. And you will probably feel guilt and shame for that. Like, did I do something wrong? What could I have said differently? Maybe I stepped on their toes. Maybe I hurt their feelings. Especially if you're being told you're hurting my feelings. Seek counsel, seek therapy, journal, do what you know is right and best for you. If you're speaking the truth, your own personal truth from your heart, and not being rude, not being vindictive, and you know for yourself, your inner knowing knows this for yourself, trust it. Absolutely trust it. If you cannot, because of the trauma that you've suffered in your own childhood, get the help you need. And I hope this helps as well. You're not alone. So, one of the things that I have processed since this debate, and I will call it a debate because I wasn't privy to the fact that I was having a debate with somebody. I thought I was having an open conversation out of pure curiosity, but as things progressed, I realized I was actually in a debate that I didn't agree to. But I journaled these things out. Just knowing what someone believes is not enough. They must know why. I have studied theology for years, since about 1997. When someone assumes that the other is too naive or too unlearned to make wise, rational, logical, informed decisions, it is a form of, I will use the word narcissistic ego, but I'm not meaning actual narcissism. It could, but in my case, I don't believe that this person is actually narcissistic. I believe that this person was using those tactics because it was comfortable for them. Like I said, everybody that is probably part of the religious church has some trauma, and with that trauma, they're going to use their tactics that they've felt most comfortable for them in their childhood growing up. So consider that too. So I say narcissistic ego because it's a grotesque, egotistic mindset to think that someone leaves a religion blindly. Just, I decide I'm not going to believe me, and you know this, no one leaves religion blindly. There is, for good reason, good thought, good logic, good heart reason, and just debating somebody to debate them is not good enough. To understand why is so imperative. It's so imperative. So if you find yourself in a unwilling debate on your end, to express the reasons why may be beneficial to you as well. They might not accept it, but at the same time, it validates you and who you are and why you did what you did. It says that one does not value in the other their intellect, their reasoning skills, or ability to make conscious decisions for themselves. The brutal aspect of the conversation for me was realizing I was just a specimen A or exhibit B, in the examination of their views on my decisions. The me in the conversation was completely removed. The conversation was not relational at all. Debates are just a power struggle of the egoic minds to one up another person, to make the other person feel confused and make them wonder if they've got the wrong concepts or ideas. And if one can put the other down enough, or trump the other person's decision making enough, it can put someone in a headspin. Fortunately for me, the process, and if you've been following my channel, the process from walking away from religion to where I'm at today with having this unwilling debate has been years. I want to say at least 6 years. So I'm pretty well founded on why I left. I'm pretty well founded on my beliefs. They're personal beliefs, and I'm very open-minded. So I'm not concerned that I might have something wrong. I'm not holding so firmly to it that it becomes an ego attachment, and I'll get into that stuff in a further video, but I'm open-minded. I could be wrong. We may be all wrong. I discovered that in my past religion, and I don't claim religion at all, but I do have personal beliefs, and I'm, okay with being wrong. I'm okay with the unknown. I feel safe here. The greatest thing is to be content and comfortable and peaceful with where you're at inside your own being. Be who you are, be at love, and be at peace in that. And that is the most comforting contentment that you can have. And that's all that really matters. So it doesn't matter what other people think of you. Let's see. One of the things that's also really important here, and it may take some time to get to this place, but when somebody doesn't value your feelings or your mind, and they have no understanding of the grieving that you've gone through or had to get through to be where you're at today, is to have compassion and empathy on their story as well. And in that compassion and empathy for them, to be able to forgive them. And without that, it's easy to become bitter and be at a place of complete discontent within yourself, and that's not healthy for you. And so the most important thing you can do through this grieving process when coming out of the religious closet and you find opposition is to love them and to forgive them, because they too have their hurts and their pains that they're dealing with that we might not even be aware of either. So keep that in mind in the whole process of your own grieving. And it may take some time to get to the place where you can forgive them, because it does hurt. It really does. But if that could be your goal, definitely seek for that as soon as you are able to, because it does help with the healing process on that end. So I'm looking through my diary now. They say time heals all wounds. I say it's not just the time, but what you do within that time. I say be with the pain. Feel it, embrace it, love yourself in it. Some of the things that I did personally, which helped me, and this has helped me throughout so many things. I mean, even overcoming the trauma in my family. I spent many years going and finding self-help books on trauma in the family, codependency. And so I would read and I would journal along with that on what I had read, things that resonated with me. I'd write it down. And then I would just write down or discuss with myself the things in which this related, how this related to me, what I could do differently, and how I could grow from it. Seek counsel. Hang out in nature. Be with nature. Be with friends. Help others. Listen to music. That raises your vibration. We are all vibrational beings. We are light, we are energy, we are vibration. So when we are around people who lift us up, it raises our vibration as well. When we listen to good, positive music or music that you like, it raises that vibration, and that is so important. Read books on grieving, exercise, meditate, soak in a bath. I love that. Bask in a shower. I remember when my son died, it's probably about a month, or it could have been a year even. It might have been a year. It was in September. My son died in September. It might have even been like within a week or so after. It was probably more like a week or so after he passed away. I went on a hike with some family, and it was through this beautiful setting of nature, and there was a huge waterfall, and you could walk. All right, I'm back. My phone storage was full, so I had to delete some things before I could continue with this, but it was a huge waterfall, and you could walk behind it, and it was just flowing down, and I stood there and I just cried, and I felt like the mixture of my own tears with the waterfall. I felt like I was getting just one big hug from God, from the universe, from Source. It was the most refreshing, healing, I don't even know if event, I don't know. It was beautiful. It was absolutely beautiful. And that was part of my healing process there too. And I know that showers can do that if you're not anywhere near a place where you can go on a hike in nature where there's a huge waterfall and you can just cry your tears while the mountain's crying its tears. Find yourself in the shower. That helps too, and just cry it out. Drink healthy water. Make sure that the water you drink is pure and healthy, and drink plenty of it because it also washes out toxins in your body. Eat fruits and veggies, non-processed foods, so that you can get toxins out of your body that way also. We don't want to hold on to any of those negative things within our lives. Definitely get plenty of sleep, because when you're sleeping, you're healing. That's your body's way of allowing you to heal. And allow for the grieving process. There are steps to the grieving process, and I've written down 5 because these were the ones that were, I'm looking for the word. These are the ones that I actually went through in my process. So denial, anger, bargaining, depression, acceptance. And they don't always happen in this order. They can happen in all sorts of orders, just random here and there. And you think you've gone through one, and boom, there it is again. You're having to deal with it all over again. So it's not just a one and done, it's a process, and it's brutal. It's very brutal. We talk a lot about time management as well, but what about heart management? Heart health is necessary too. Treat every day as a journey to discover your soul. And when your mind wants to chew on it, which mind often does, especially lately, because, you know, it hurt me so bad with what happened recently, and with the shame and the guilt, and wondering if I said the right thing and if I was too hard on the person. I chewed on it for days. And so sometimes you have to kind of get yourself out of that cycle. Journaling is great for that. But let go. Let go. Relax, meditate. Just empty the thoughts and be with yourself. Be in love. Send love. Send blessings to those who hurt you, and forgive. And it might not just be a one and done forgiving either. I mean, that might take several times of saying, I forgive you, I forgive you. Regarding religion, research, dig deep, study other beliefs, study science, history, the metaphysical, the paranormal. Recalibrate your beliefs. Get to know yourself. Love yourself. Let go of the guilt and let go of the shame. The hurts and pains of others from their judgment of you just brings pain upon the pain. Love yourself, accept yourself, see yourself in love, soaked in love. You are loved, and you are love. And grieving doesn't have to equal suffering. And I will get into that in another video. Because for me, there was a lot of suffering in addition to just the regular grieving process, or nothing's really regular in the grieving process anyway, because everybody deals with it in their own way. But I added suffering to my grieving, and I will get into how that can happen and why that happens in a further video. So I'm moved on to another page here. No matter how much pain or how deep the grief, sit with it, allow it, comfort it, let it be. As what you would give to your child in pain, do the same for yourself. Don't shove it, don't push it, don't run from it, don't ignore it. Hold it, be with it, feel it, comfort it, see it. The grieving is not meant to destroy you, it is meant to grow you. When love fills your life, your heart is light, your center is at peace, a deep, deep inner peace. The heaviness shifts and you feel light as a balloon. Your eyes brighten and your spirit soars. Much love to you on your journey as you deal with your own grieving process. May I be of comfort and help to you as you travel this journey with me. Have a wonderful day. We'll talk again soon.